one sponsor and team is very rare in our sport. And when I came in 2006, I was just stepping into somebody else's seat, really. And this was a relationship that was struck up through Joe Gibbs Racing, and Joe and his relationship with Fred Smith and in the Washington football team at the time. And we've just really found a way to make it useful and great for them. They see great value in it. There's actually a great article about when the CMO of FedEx at the time saying this activation is worth $1 billion to us. Like, this is a big thing for us, and we've just really touched a lot of lives, which is something that I've got to do some charity work with them in the past. I've really got to meet a lot of different customers and VIPs to them each and every weekend. I mean, what other sport can you go and meet the athlete right before he goes and gets in the locker room or gets in his race car and competes? So it's just a unique sport that can bring a lot to a company like FedEx.
And tonight on the show, we're going to unveil the paint scheme that you will run in the Daytona 500. Really cool looking race car. Yeah,
we're excited about it. It's kind of celebrating the 50 years, the birthday of FedEx, when Fred Smith drew up that paper saying he wanted to start a company that could supply packages overnight across the country. So in April will be their 50th birthday.
Wow.
You can see the gold there. That is to signify the 50 years. And one thing, if you see the 50 for 50, that's about affecting 50 million people in the 50 years that they've been in the had a company. 50 million people they've helped. We saw through COVID they were getting vaccines all over the country. We saw actually during the State of the Union speech, the president talking about how FedEx is helping people get the resources they need, helping world hunger. Just so many different things that FedEx really doesn't raise their hand and say, hey, we're helping with this. They just go and do it. And so they help so many communities. I've got to see it firsthand, and certainly couldn't be more proud to represent them.
So I just got to ask you this, sir. Do you know, before you drove the FedEx car, who drove?
I know you did.
All right. Look at that.
And you kicked the door.
I did. I didn't mean to kick your car, but anyway. So my brother drove as well. Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah, so Terry drove for Coach when I think Jason Leffler was driving it.
Yeah.
And I think Terry drove a few races, somebody else. I drove that one because Jason didn't make the race for the Coke 600. So I just want you to know we warmed that whole thing up for you.
Thank you. Well, I can tell you how that warmed me up. Joe came to me and says, okay, you've got your shot, you got your 7 races, but we're only 6 points to the good in the top 35, and if we get kicked out, we're missing races. I'm like, oh boy, I'm not ready for this. And so luckily we were able to battle and get actually some top 10s, some of the best finishes that car had all year. And certainly when I got the pole 6 races in, I think that kind of that signed the deal for him.
Sealed the deal for you.
Yeah, but when a company stays that long with one driver and a race team, yeah, I'm sure it's a lot about those 45 wins that Adam mentioned, but it says a lot about you, Denny, as an ambassador. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. I don't want to get into the championship talk because in my book, you don't need a championship. You're a NASCAR Hall of Famer first ballot when you look at the things that you've accomplished. But I get a feeling you'd love to win that championship as much for you as you would those FedEx people.
No question. I mean, I love going to the FedEx hubs and seeing all the FedEx racing gear. I mean, that's why they started this to begin with, is they said the employees came to us and says, we want a team to root for on Sunday. And you can't be they're not going to call it the FedEx Grizzlies, right? It's always going to be the Memphis Grizzlies, but you can be they can be the namesake for the arena or something, but we are the FedEx team, and we have been for the last 18 years. And that's what's special in our sport, is that we give our employees something that they really can rally around and hopefully take them to Victory Circle at least 48 or 45 times. And I didn't get a teaser on that. That was a lucky guess.
Well, you nailed it.
Yeah.
You said that FedEx is celebrating 50 years. NASCAR, of course, celebrating 75 years all season long. We're looking at great moments from the history of NASCAR. 75 and 75, the focus tonight.